Start recording so I don't forget. There we go. So it's recording now. So
Hi, Mel. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
I know we both kind of cross paths over Instagram as you do. I've like everyone that I've interviewed, I've like friended on Instagram. It's like I've got this whole bunch of like cyber friends. It's kind of sounds freaky and weird, but amazing. But we both love a purge and a declutter. And I think that
Yes.
we kind of connected over our organization and OCD as for all the people that are like, you weirdos, you wouldn't be listening to us if you thought that. But do you want to tell my viewers a little bit about you and what you do?
Yes, well, I am what some people call very multi-passionate, but my main thing is decluttering. So I'm a declutter coach and consultant, and primarily online. So sometimes I go and help people declutter their houses, but I do a lot of online content. I'm working on a course at the moment, so keep an eye on that. That'll be my signature course. It'll be launching in the next couple of months. I've also got a podcast called Simple You, where I talk all about decluttering and minimalism and basically trying to simplify your life so that you're living what I call your true life. So it's where you're happiest, where you're living your passions, and you've got more time for the people and things that you love to do and spend time with. So yeah, I'm really passionate about helping people cut through the crap in their lives, basically.
Yeah, love it. You can drop as much swear words as you want on my show. It's fine.
Reveal what's well, usually I say crap because I'm usually quite PC on my socials, but I might start dropping some F-bombs after talking with you for a while.
Sorry everyone, sorry children.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Marie Kondo did your career kind of spark pre or post Marie? Do you feel
post? So I actually, well, this is one of the books I talked about in one of my recent podcast episodes. So it was called 5 Books That Changed My Life. And her book was one of them, even though it's not my favorite. I've read a lot of books since then on decluttering and minimalism. Hers is, I wouldn't say hers is my favorite, but it was recommended to me by a friend. And I read it within 2 nights. I just couldn't put it down. And it just resonated with me so much. And I think it was because at the time I was stuck in this place of, I'd had my second baby. She wasn't yet a year old, and I was just overrun by stuff, mainly toys, and also my husband's stuff, because he's not the tidiest person and he never declutters anything. So, I was just, wearing clothes off the dining table. So, I just dumped the laundry on the table and I wouldn't have time to fold it. So we're just like, picking outfits off the dining table every day, stepping over toys everywhere. At the time my son was 5. So he had a lot of toys and trains and cars and things. And I just thought, something's got to change. My friend recommended this book, and then I just started KonMariing my house, which was quite extreme. I actually did do the full KonMari method.
I know. I did a lot. I mean, I did what I could to serve me and my house and the space, but it's so funny that I look back and I'm like, you are crazy, bitch. You did it when you had I don't know if I was heavily pregnant or I had a new, who the fuck does that? Right? You look back and you're like, oh, but I feel like in those situations when you are so emotional and exhausted, that's when you kind of take charge and you do what you got to do to just clear. And it's for your health, your mental health.
You're just so fed up. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And that's what it was for me. And it looks worse before it gets better because I was categorizing stuff, this stuff is getting donated, and I was planning to have a garage sale. So my front room was just full of boxes and bags of things it was ordered chaos. Like I knew, different categories, and my husband was stepping over stuff thinking, what are you doing? You've just made it worse. You're pulling stuff out of cupboards. But I said, no, you wait. It's going to get better. I did have that garage sale and I donated heaps of stuff, sold some stuff online. And I started documenting my decluttering journey on YouTube because I was just so passionate. It was fun, and I wanted to share it with other people because it was having such profound benefits for me. Even just, that first time you clear out a drawer or something and manage to organize it with what's left, you just feel so much lighter. It's like a literal
Absolutely.
weight has been lifted off your shoulders.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to share that with other mums who are struggling. And it was also a creative outlet for me because I was on maternity leave at the time with my daughter. So I started a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Simply Mill. It's still there. I don't post as regularly now that I've got the podcast, but there's a whole library of videos where you can actually watch me decluttering, like my kitchen, my bathroom, my bedroom, my clothes.
I feel like the
room,
visual
everything.
aspect helps a lot because some people are visual, like just naturally, and they need to see what you mean and how it's sort of done. So I love that. So definitely have a watch of that.
And it's motivating watching other people. Like I like watching cleaning videos because it motivates me to get up and clean my house.
I know we're weird. We like watching cleaning videos, cooking videos.
It's comforting.
But it's true. It is comforting. And when you resonate with the person and they speak in your language and your tone and speak from where you're at as well, which leads me to my next question. Like, what are some, common, I'm going to use the word symptoms that you find the women describe themselves feeling when they come to you?
Mainly overwhelmed and overrun and disorganized. So it could be that they can't find things. They're always cleaning up and tidying up. I mean, you need to do a certain amount of maintenance, but when you're overrun with too much stuff, you find you're just constantly moving stuff around, trying to make space. A lot of people will go out and just buy storage stuff to contain and hide the stuff without actually decluttering. And that is you're just putting a Band-Aid on it then. You're not solving the actual stuff problem because usually it's a stuff problem, not a storage problem.
And that's, we were just discussing this on your podcast where we were talking about like step number one, like people try and buy appliances, try and buy storage containers, try and buy and get things to fix the problem. But really the problem is that they're hoarding to something. Like if it doesn't serve you, you're not using, get rid of it. You know what I mean? If you do need it down the track, you can get it again. But 9 times out of 10, like you don't even remember what you bin or what you cull or what you get rid of. So I love that about you and that we share that same philosophy, especially when it comes to the pantry or whatnot. You just got to definitely purge and cull and get rid of what you do not use and what doesn't serve you and what doesn't work for you.
Yeah. And it's about being prepared, as you're saying, and that's what I love about your meal plans. But see, my husband will decide that last night he decided he wanted to cook potato croquettes because he saw them
that was so
on MasterChef Junior.
You didn't eat
watching
them.
that. I didn't eat them because I'm lactose intolerant. He ended up putting a whole lot of milk and cheese in them because he put too much milk in. So he said, I'm going to try and thicken it up with cheese. And I'm like, I can't eat that because it's going to make me sick because I'm lactose intolerant. So apparently the kids loved it though. It was good. It was a success. So it was fine and I admired his, but he just gets these crazy ideas and he'll just run out and buy every single ingredient he needs for a recipe without checking what's in the pantry first. So we'll end up often with duplicate spices or herbs and things, dried herbs. So now I think I've managed to train him to double check, but still sometimes we'll end up with double ups and I'll be like, why? You don't
it's
even
like,
use
just
this.
ask me. Do you have just ask me. I'll cross off like Italian herb. Like there's always Italian, you know what I mean? Those kind of things like that. Yeah, I know.
And especially when it's something we don't use very often or we already have one from the last time he decided it was a good idea to cook a new recipe. So that's my struggle.
I know it's very hard.
I'm the sort of person who will try and, I only have one type of flour. So I have plain flour. And if I need self-raising flour, I'll just add baking powder to make a self-raising flour. One sec, I've just got to plug my charger in.
That's all right, as you do. Don't worry. I know we've been chatting for ages. So that then leads me into the next thing. So obviously you're saying that women come to you and they're feeling overwhelmed and flustered. Hot mess is very similar to how the women come to me as well. And, I feel like they come to us for a reason and they're really getting something else. Do you know what I mean? Or they're walking away
it's making them anxious. And what I find, and because I've felt like this many times, you feel like a failure as a mother, because particularly if you're at home, even part-time or full-time, doesn't matter what it is, you feel like your job is to make the home a calming, tidy, pleasant place to live in. And if you feel like there's disarray and mess and chaos around you, you feel like you're failing your family.
Exactly. And I feel like now, do not make it about you. It is what it is. But just acknowledge it, be okay, because you're not alone. And I'm sorry, but if anyone says that they have that kind of home, it's bullshit. And secondly, just reach out and get help. Girl, like we are so open. Like I have women always like DMing me, or like if I can help you with something that I sell, whether it's a planner or whatnot, I'll pop you onto that. But you're not alone. Like these are all, and I think that's what our podcast, they're making movement. But this then goes into the false beliefs. So what are some common false beliefs that these women have about themselves that is causing these external symptoms? Because I know for me, women always say, Marilyn, I'm not as organized as you. And it's like, hang on. Like, that's bullshit. I wasn't born and I didn't get a needle or a vaccine that was labeled organization. Yes, I have to say my mum was somewhat organized, and I did grow up with that influence. However, I have close friends who came from a shambles of a home. Like I'm talking, like they will get hives thinking about it, and they're nothing like that. And they've just learned, because you know what? They're like, I don't like this. I've acknowledged it. Okay, what can I do first to fix this situation? All right, let's purge. Okay, let's do this, blah, 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 blah. And getting help and not being ashamed to be like, oh, I'm just not naturally, and staying that victim mentality. So what are some common false beliefs that, women have when they come to you?
Well, that what they're doing is not good enough. So I think the quest for perfection is a huge one. And I always say done is better than perfect.
Absolutely.
And we spoke about this just before in your podcast episode where, we both feel like we don't need to have a Pinterest worthy or Instagram worthy looking pantry. I mean, my pantry's behind 2 closed doors. So occasionally people might see it if they come over for, dinner or a snack or something, but usually they're not even in the kitchen with me anyway. No one's going to see it apart from, my own family. And of course, if I take a picture for Instagram or film it for my YouTube channel, but I'm not interested in making it look pretty just for the sake of it being pretty and, looking like the home edit. I love the home edit, but I don't aspire to that.
It's very hard. And unless you have, like, from personal experience, I have the world's smallest freaking kitchen. Like anyone that knows me personally will be like, yeah, she's like, when she says small, she means like really fucking small. And I had to make it functionable because I am a cook and I have children who have snacks and all that shit. I had to make it functionable to work for our household. And that's what I want to like let people know as well. Make it work for you. And we did speak about like how I kind of culled out my pantry, and I've got another episode, but do you want to kind of like touch base a little bit on how like you perhaps like organize or give some tips for people like who do feel like a failure and a shambles? Like where do they start? Like what's one thing or a few steps that they can do to like, see the results?
Yeah, well, with anything that you're looking to reorganize, I always start with decluttering because you need to cull first. Because as I said, usually it's a stuff problem, not a storage problem. So you always need to start with taking out everything. And if you've only got like 5 minutes, just do it category by category. Just do it by sort out your
shelf by shelf,
herbs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shelf by shelf. Or if things are kind of in loose, like I have a spice drawer where I keep my dried herbs and spices. If I only got 5 or 10 minutes, I might just do that drawer, for example. Or you might just do canned goods or your pasta or your rices or whatever chunks of time you've got. I think people procrastinate because they think, I'm going to need a whole afternoon to do this, and I don't have a whole afternoon to do this. So if you can break it down into micro chunks, that is a good place to start. But yeah, shelf by shelf is a good one too. And then take stuff out, and I categorize it into, whatever you want, canned goods, pastas, rices, snacks, things like that. Clean out the shelves and then put it back using what you've got to reorganize it. I don't think unless you really want to, you've got the budget and you really do want to give yourself a nice pantry makeover. Otherwise, it's really not necessary. Use glass jars, use old coffee containers.
That's a good one. I saw that too. The Makona jars are pretty good, like just full.
And Makona jars actually look kind of nice too.
Yeah, exactly.
Baskets, if you've got deep pantry shelves like me, use baskets that you can sort of slide in and out of the shelf as well. I've got about 4 videos on my YouTube channel that actually show me doing all this stuff. So, because I've reorganized my, every now and then it needs a bit of a clean out and a bit of maintenance, particularly during the pandemic when your husband goes out and buys things like spam and corned carrots and
canned carrots and potatoes
and things. And you're like, what did you buy this stuff for? And I actually
I don't have this problem. My husband
awful.
doesn't cook. He's like,
yeah, but we just ended up with too much stuff because he'd just gone, you know, and when he goes to the supermarket too, you know, as you do, and a lot of people do this, even I've been guilty, you buy stuff that's not on your list, intending to use it. I also look at stuff that is, you know, I look at all the expiry dates. If it's expired, out it goes. If it's near expiry, I either put it in a use first basket, and usually it's on my countertop so that I see it. If I put it back in the cupboard, I won't see it. It'll be out of sight, out of mind. And I'll make a conscious effort in that week to use those items first. Or if it's something where I think, no, I don't know why I bought this thing. Why am I going to use it? And it's still good. I'll either donate it, or usually I'll know someone who will take it. But, you know, I've given food away, like unopened packets of food, on my front porch. I've just advertised them on like a free local Facebook group, and people take them. And some
I think
people
our daycare also
charities.
does food runs as well. Like obviously not expired stuff. I'm not giving expired. That's
no.
But
not
things that
stuff.
no. But things that I'm like, I'm not going to use it. Do you know what I mean? I've got too much of it, and I'll just definitely give it away. So when people come, they're feeling like shit, overwhelmed. You've given them some tips and tricks, and they're getting to do this. Now, this is where I've kind of seen people go off the rail, the maintenance, because do you have any kind of tips on keeping kind of on top of it, but not obviously overwhelming or adding too much work? But how do you kind of manage and maintain that? Because I've seen some, you know, people then just relapse and go back to the way they were.
Yeah. Well, my big tip is before you go to the grocery store, always shop for your own pantry and fridge first. So when you're planning your meals, and again, planning is key. And this, I know you've got some great meal plans and that you have through your subscription, your member subscription. It's key just to plan what you're going to cook and then check what ingredients you have first. And sometimes I even just devise my meals based on what I already have to start with. Sometimes it's based on what I know will be on special at the supermarket.
Of course.
But I always aim to use as much of what I can that I already have in the house, so that you don't end up just buying more and more stuff, because again, you're just going to end up with a stuff problem, which will cause you to be disorganized. So that's one tip. The other tip I would say is I try not to have too many different ingredients. If I've got, you know, similar herbs and spices, like I don't have, you know, hundreds of different herbs and spices in my herb and spice drawer. You know, if I don't have nutmeg, I might use cinnamon or cloves instead, something similar. If I don't have thyme, I might just use rosemary. There's a lot of baking recipes where you have to use vanilla bean paste or vanilla essence. I just have one and use it for both. I have plain flour, and then I top it up with baking powder, make it self-raising flour if I need to.
Yeah, especially if you're not using it all the time. Do you know
that's
what I mean?
all self-raising flour is, you know, a raising agent added into the flour. So things like that to keep it minimal.
Yeah. I buy, like, if I have to do like a pasta or something, then I need like a different kind. But I completely, like, I definitely agree. Do you have a way of like organizing maybe a fridge as well? Because I know the fridge gets out of hand too.
Yeah, mine's not too bad.
No,
I think because I can see what's in there, and again, it comes back to your meal planning. I know that I'm going to use those ingredients up usually by the end of the week. But if I don't, there's certain things that I'll even vegetables like carrots and celery, I've been known to get ones that are, you know, starting to get a bit beyond it, and chop them up and place them in the freezer so I can throw them into a bolognese or casserole, so that I won't waste them. But limp vegetables, you can make any sort of veggie curry. Or my husband hates vegetable meals, so I make this vegan curry recipe. Ooh. And I throw some frozen raw prawns into it near the end for him. I like prawns too, but I could easily just eat it as a vegetable curry.
But that's nice. That's
look
a good
at the
idea.
things that are dying, and I always move, you know, always checking expiry dates. When I come home from the grocery store, I always move the older stuff to the front and put the newer stuff behind, so that I'm always using what's in front first, which I know is going to expire first. That's key. But I have things that go off and things like that.
We all do. I mean, sometimes you just forget you've bought it, or like you've bought it because you knew that someone was maybe going to pop over. You had intentions to make something, then plans cancelled, and you're like, I'm not going to really make that just for us. So I totally get that. And I think this is what I mean. It always comes down to a different cause of the real issue, right? And I always get it. People are like, we don't plan, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, there's so much benefits in just taking and carving out a little bit of time to organize and declutter, for example, because long term you're going to wear the clothes that that you have and not forget that they're there. It's easier when you go to fold and pack your washing. It's easy because there's a spot for them. You're not jamming it into a drawer.
And you can always find what you have. And I think that's what's good about keeping your pantry simple. You know exactly what's in there, so you're less likely to have wastage.
We did touch base on some staples in your podcast episode, which I think is amazing. I might ask yours as well, but we were talking about like what are some kind of key staples that we have in there in the pantry or fridge or wherever that we always have that we could reuse. And I was saying that I love always having like arborio rice, because 9 times out of 10, if you do have limp veggies going or whatever, or there's some meat or protein or whatever it may be in the freezer, you can make like a risotto with that, or a passata, because you can 9 times out of 10 whip up a quick pasta sauce, or tuna for a tuna pasta, same thing as pasta, same thing as flour, keeping those staples. Rice noodles I suggested as well, and pearl couscous, because you can make salads or a side dish. What are some of yours? Because I love that we touch base on that.
I always have tin tomatoes because I love throwing those into bolognese, and I always get angry at myself if I forget to buy them. I don't have enough of those, so I always buy them on special. Tinned corn, or even frozen corn, because I love adding corn to salad or side as a side vegetable, because I'm always trying to make sure my kids get enough veggies, and corn is the one thing they both, one of the few things that they both love. And it's easy just to throw frozen corn into the microwave and steam it as a side. I love all frozen vegetables actually, because if I'm particularly busy, I know I've got vegetables, but then if I'm not sure how much time I've got to cook, I'm not going to worry about vegetables going off in the fridge.
Exactly.
So I always have usually peas and corn are my staples. Edamame beans too. I love those as a snack.
I love edamame. Oh my God, I recently went out for Jap and they had truffle edamame. Oh my God. Truffle garlic. Truffle, and they were charred. Oh my God, it's so good. If you haven't ordered them before, go to a good Japanese place.
I've seen you with the elephant. Is it the elephant garlic too?
Yes, elephant garlic. Yes.
You actually order that in, don't you?
Yeah, I order that. That's New South Wales, organically grown. And definitely, if you guys don't buy that shit from Woolies, actually Woolies does do good Australian, but that shit that you find in a net, like the net for like $3, that stuff is bleached and crap. Definitely get organic and get Australian. That's different quality. It's amazing.
Are you going to shoot me if I say I have the crushed garlic, the jar in the fridge?
Okay. I think that serves its purpose. I find a lot of my Asian friends use that, and I think they use that predominantly in when they make their dumplings, especially the soup dumplings.
I throw it into everything because and then if I buy fresh garlic, sometimes by the time I find it, it's like sprouting. I forget about it. So I always have the jar stuff in the fridge, but
it's easy. It's quick and easy.
Of course. Yeah, I have a slow cooker, so I like basmati rice because it's sort of lower carb. Yeah, but I have microwave brown rice just because brown rice takes longer to cook, and it sticks even to my rice cooker. It's a pain to clean my rice cooker bowl.
Yeah.
And if I want to make a quick fried rice and I don't have fried rice, is best used with day old rice, and often I don't have enough day old rice, so I use brown rice, my fried rice. My parents will cringe, but I use the microwave packet stuff.
We are changing.
It's brown and microwave, but brown rice is healthier too, and it fills up my kids.
It is. We love there's some traditional obviously Italian or Middle Eastern where we stuff capsicums, and traditionally that is with a mince and rice, but or the stuffed eggplants. And a brown rice is it's a really nice alternative because it's not as stodgy as well, so it kind of holds everything a lot nicer and doesn't taste as mush, as I would say. But yes, I love that, which then goes into my next question, because I always ask my guests, what is your go-to can't be fucked meal that you can share for my listeners? So if they're roaming in and out of Woolies at the moment, because my podcast comes out on Mondays, they'll be like, thanks Mel, I'm going to make that now because what is it?
Well, it's my microwave brown fried rice. But
love it.
If I have day old rice leftover, I will use that instead. But otherwise, brown rice, because I like something filling and healthy. And it's bacon and egg fried rice, basically, which my Caucasian thinks that's so cool, bacon and egg anything. But I call it bacon and egg fried rice because that's how my dad makes it. He actually does it with bacon and egg. So you just heat some oil in a pan, you throw your eggs in first. I know a lot of people throw the eggs in at the end of fried rice, but no, I
do it first,
chunky,
like you.
big bits of egg.
You make like an omelette first and then you take it out.
Well, I don't even make an omelette. I just kind of chop it up. So it's kind of like scrambled eggs chopped up, like, obviously more cooked than scrambled eggs, but it's not like a flat omelette that you have to cut up. It's just, I chop it up with the spatula in the pan. I just go at it in the pan, obviously a non-stick spatula, because I use a non-stick pan. I don't even use a wok. My wok got wrecked and I didn't replace it, so I use a big fry pan, which my parents will cringe again, but I hardly ever, apart from fried rice, I don't do a lot of stir fries anymore. So
I know. I've got do you use on the stove, like on the stove, a fry pan? Yeah, I've got an electric big banquet fry pan and I love it because
I mean, use that for stir frying as well.
I just feel like
I'm minimalist, so I don't want to have like tons of different pieces of equipment. So you cook the egg, set that aside, take that out of the pan, set that aside. Then you cook your bacon. You can add onion if you want, either spring onions, or I like chopped up red onion because it's milder on my tummy. My husband and I have sensitive stomachs, so I use red onion. I fry the bacon and the onion. I put in my rice, which is already being microwaved. I also steam, like usually it's frozen peas and corn, the peas and corn mix in the microwave, and I add that into. I fry it all together with tamari soy sauce. I use the gluten-free one. I like it, and just to taste. And then I add the egg in.
Do you have sesame oil? Do you use sesame oil as well?
You can. I don't have sesame oil because I don't use it that often. You can use olive oil, any oil you've got, really.
Yep.
Yeah, I usually use just olive oil because, again, I'm minimal, so I try and keep the number of different things of an ingredient to a minimum. And then you just heat it through till the eggs warm through again, and then done. Yeah,
beautiful.
Love it. And sometimes I'll get those little steamed pork buns, the frozen ones.
I love them.
And I'll steam on the stove and serve that with it. My son loves those,
My son loves it too, but he's so fussy about like the filling. He's like, it's not red enough, mum. Like he really likes the proper.
I like the red bean curd one. Yeah.
No, I think it's the barbecue pork ones, but sometimes they're not as barbecuey, if that sort of makes sense. Like they're more, I don't know, it looks a bit more paler or stewy like inside. And he's so sensory. I don't know, that kid, like, I'm not even joking. He will look at cheese, smell it. If it's provolone, loves provolone cheese, smell it. And if it's not the right kind from the right deli, he knows. He loves goats. He's very, it's like not normal. But he'll know. He'll say, Mum, it's not the right one. And I'm like, oh my God.
Kids know, right? They have, they're like,
what?
Look like, I know. But nothing goes past them. But now I'm craving yum cha. Also, I was watching the Celebrity Apprentice last night and there was a yum cha challenge, and now it's made me, I haven't been to yum cha since before COVID, like, because we don't go out as much anymore. So I was thinking I should go to
which one do you go to? Oh, Chatswood, Ding Tung Fu.
I'm not sure what it's called. There's one in the Mandarin Centre.
Yeah, I like that one's really good. Last time I went, where did I go? I think I went to, I'm not going to say it. I went one place and I think the MSG they used just did not go down well. It just went straight through. So I know when there's like, heavy loads of MSG. But the one in Cabramatta is really good too.
I haven't been to Cabramatta. Yeah, I'd like to. We used to go to Carlingford a little bit when we lived sort of closer out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a good one at the Castle Hill RSL. Yeah.
Yeah.
all your peeps who live there. I'm nowhere near there now, living on the Northern Beaches, but we used to live out sort of, Ryde Way. So the guy who used to own our favourite restaurant in North Ryde, Chinese restaurant, he sold it, but then he became the manager at the Castle Hill RSL. And we went there, and he was so nice. He was like making sure he had all the best of what we'd ordered. And then he came out and gave us all this free dessert. And my husband and I, because we only had one child at the time, we're sitting there having to eat. We were so full, but we didn't want to be rude. So we're eating all the dessert. I was like, I can't eat anymore. So my husband just stuffed down about 6 mango pancakes.
I love.
And we left, and my husband's like, "That was so nice, but I feel like I'm going to be sick now," because we didn't want to like leave any food on the plate because he'd given it to us complimentary, and we don't
I know,
want to
you're
be
like,
rude.
can I just have a
But, oh
doggy
my God,
bag? I know.
yeah, I probably
I've
should have
got
asked for a doggy bag.
my close friends are Asian, and every time like we go somewhere it's usually always Asia, because I just love exploring other cultures, and it's something that, like when it's authentically done, I love tasting, different cultural food. And I just say to them, like, listen, you order what you kind of would order, because I would obviously order Western stuff, because I mean, I don't know. And once, they got the chicken feet, and I was like, tastes great, but I was like, I just can't spit the knuckles out.
Oh, you can. It's polite to spit your food out at Yum Cha.
I just was like, oh my God, I'm eating chicken feet. I just couldn't get past it, but yeah, I did eat it.
I like the chicken feet, but no one else will eat it with me. So, and I don't want to eat because they come out in a plate of 3, and I don't want to eat 3 of them. So usually we don't order it. If I go with my family back home in New Zealand, we order chicken feet and I'll have one. But yeah, my husband and kids won't eat it, so I don't order
next
it.
time we go out, we'll get the chicken feet. Okay,
we should meet up for Yum Cha. Yeah, and a Costco shop. I've never been to Costco.
Oh, trust me, I don't know, but like, I'm not the right person to go to Costco. If you are ever on a budget, you'll probably go home and get divorced after I've gone with you. Because I just know, I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is great, and you need to get this and you need to get that, and before you know it, I swear, like, you walk out, it's like $700. You're like, what did I buy? I bought 4 items.
Yeah, I'll be a reverse minimalist after going to Costco with you.
I'll corrupt you. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, Mel, it was a pleasure chatting. But do you want to let my listeners know where they can find you, where you hang out, and all the things?
I hang out on Facebook and Instagram. So on Instagram, it's Simply Mel01, and Facebook, it's Simply Mel. I have a website too, which I'll send you to put in the show notes below. That's Simply Mel Living, and and you can find me on the podcast on all major podcast platforms. It's Simple You Podcast, and I release an episode every Wednesday.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure. We'll have to do this again. So we'll have to catch up in person now that I know you.
Yeah, we'll have to have chicken feet. We'll post a picture of chicken feet. We'll just fan ourselves with it. Everyone will laugh when they see it.
All
right. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.